a variable that we need to get by itself. What is currently keeping the a from being by itself? The 4 and the 2. So both of those numbers need to be moved across the equal sign and join up with the 6. The question is, which one moves first, the 4 or the 2? Okay, let's talk about this. Let's say that A stinks really bad. Okay? And this is like a room at a party, and this is another room at the party. The equal sign is the doorway, okay? So obviously 4 and 2 want to get away from A because he stinks so bad. So they're trying to slip out of the room and go over to this room with 6. But who would have an easier time? Like, if Jamie stinks really bad, who would be able to slip away first? Daisy or Eliel? The one further away, right? It's a no-brainer. So who's further away from Stinky A, 4 or 2? So he can slip away first. How do we slip him away into the other room? Subtract 2 and subtract 2 on this side. Because with equations, you have to do the same thing on both sides. Now on the right side, 2 minus 2 cancels. On the left side, 6 minus 2 becomes 4. So now you have 4 on the left side in that room at the party, and still in the right room at the party you have Stinky A and 4. Now Stinky A is being divided by 4, so how can you get 4 away from it? Multiply. The opposite of division is multiplication. So multiply. Multiply. Over here they cancel out because isn't 4 over 4 1? So that leaves 1A, which you don't have to write, equals what? 16. Okay, now you always need to check these. There's never an excuse to miss these on a test because you can plug back in your answer to see if you did it right. If we take 16 and plug it in for the A, what's 16 divided by 4? And what's 4 plus 2? 6. So that's how you know you did it right because it makes sense in the problem. Okay, let's look at number 2. This time, X stinks. So who all's trying to get away from Stinky X? Well, the negative 5's already away. He's already in the other room. 4 and negative 6 want to move to the other room. Who moves first? How do you move it? Correct. Add the 6 to both sides. Over here in this room, the 6's cancel each other out. Over here, they combine to be a 1. So now we still have Stinky X over 4. How do you now get the 4 away from the X? Multiply by 4 on both sides. So X equals 4. Not yet. Okay, you should always check them. Okay, 4 goes right here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. What's 1 plus a negative 6? Negative 5, so we did it right. Okay, go ahead and try 3, 4, and 5 by yourself. Let's go and look at these 3. Number 3, what do you do first? Add the 7 to the other side. Okay, over here, negative 7 plus 7 is 0, so you can just cross it out. We're leaving 9x on this side. And on the right side of the equal sign, negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Now to solve for x, we need to remove the 9. Well, it's currently being multiplied by the x, so how do you remove it? Divide by 9. And so x equals 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, now let's check it. If I were to plug in a 0 right here for the x, isn't that 9 times 0? What's 9 times 0? And what's 0 minus 7? Negative 7. So that's how we know we did it right, because it works. Okay, number 4, what did you do first? Right, subtract the 4, because he's further away from the end, so he can sneak out first. Then on the left side it becomes a right, and on the right side we have n over 5. Now to get n by itself, what do we do? Okay, so those cancel each other out, and n equals negative 20. Okay, now let's check it. If I plug in a negative 20 right here, what's negative 20 divided by 5? Negative 4. And what's negative 4 plus 4? 0. So it works. Okay, number 5, what should I do first? Correct. This 5 needs to move over there. Since it's subtract, you do the opposite and you add it. On this side, they cancel each other out, leaving the r over 20. And on the left, when you combine those, you get a 1. Now to solve for r, what do we do on both sides? Multiply by 20. And so r equals 20. Okay, then of course you can always check it. If you plug in a 20 right here, what's 20 over 20? And what's 1 minus 5? Negative 4. Okay, number 6, what should we do first? Right. A lot of students will want to say, let's subtract 5. But think about it. If I try to subtract this 5, I'm going to have to write on top of that, right? And you should never have to write on top of another operation. It should be gone first. So you need to get rid of that 6 first by multiplying it on both sides. And so that gives you a negative 6 on the left. On the right, it cancels, leaving just 5 plus x. Now that there's nothing below it, now we can move that 5 over by subtracting it. And so that gives me x equals negative 11. Okay, remember, always check them. Go back to your original question and plug in your answer. Negative 11 goes right there. What's 5 plus negative 11? And what's negative 6 over positive 6? Negative 1. And that's what it says it equals. So we did it right. Okay, number 7. What should I do first? Multiply by that 3 to get it out of the bottom. And it will cancel over there. When I multiply by 3 over here, it makes a 24. Now to solve for v, what do I do? Minus the 9 on both sides. And so v equals 15. Okay, and then remember, like always, you can go back to your original question and check it. If I plug in 15 here, what's 15 plus 9? 24. And what's 24 over 3? 8. So it works. Okay, number 8. What would you do first? You can't subtract 5 because well, look, isn't that 2 touching with parentheses? So doesn't that mean the 2's being multiplied? So, well, okay, I'm going to do it 2 different ways. First, I'm going to distribute it. I'm going to distribute 2 to the n and 2 to the 5, which would make 2n plus 10. And now from there, I just have a 2-step equation. The first step is to subtract the 10 on both sides. And that gives me 2n equals negative 12. And then I would divide by the 2 on both sides, and that gives me n equals negative 6. Okay, but I think there's an easier way to do that one. Write this down, and then I'll show you. Can I erase the work? Okay, I'm going to show you a different way. Didn't I just say that this 2 is being multiplied by the n plus 5? So what's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. Couldn't we just start right off and divide by that 2 on both sides? Okay, so then look what happens. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So just cancel it. You don't have to write a 1. N plus 5 is left. On the right side, what do you get? Negative 1. Now to solve for n, what do you do on both sides? Minus 5, and then negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. This one's easier. Okay, I want you to try 9 through 12 by yourself. Number 9, Isabella, what do I do first? Right. And that gives me negative 9x equals negative 81. Isabella's doing this. Then what do I do?
Divide by negative 9.
Right? And so x equals positive 9.
Positive 9, my bad.
Okay, and remember, that's why... No, it was already being multiplied by the x, so you do the opposite. Okay, that's why it's so important to check your answer, though, because what if she had accidentally wrote down negative 9? When she checked it, she would have known something was wrong. Okay, because when you plug in a positive 9 and multiply it by negative 9, you get a negative 81, and then a negative 81 plus 1 is a negative 80. Okay, number 16, Samantha, what do I do first? My bad, number 10. On both sides. Shh, you can't bully when a video's going. Okay, then what does this become? Type it in. Samantha, type in negative 6 plus 10.
Negative 6 plus 10?
Yeah, type it in. Yep. Right. Okay, let me show y'all something else. For those of you who struggle with negative numbers, isn't negative 6 plus 10 the exact same thing as a positive 10 minus 6?
Yes.
And then everybody knows 10 minus 6 is 4. So, if you're...
If you added money to, when you're already in the whole $6, and add $10, I thought it was negative 16.
No, okay. Consider it like this. Like you're in debt $6, then you get paid 10. That means you can pay off whoever you owe $6 and you're left with 4. Does that make sense? Okay, now to solve for n, what do I do? Multiply by 2 to get that 2 out of the bottom. And so n equals 8. Alright, number 11. William, what do I do first? No, number 11. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. And so v equals, no, we're multiplying. Negative 16. Guys, you see now why it's so important to plug your answer back in and check it? See how people can easily make mistakes? Alright, number 12. 1. 12. What do I do first? Divide by negative 12. Shh. Those cancel. What does this side become? What's 144 divided by negative 12? Negative 12. And then on the right side, those canceled, so we're just left with x plus 5. So now what do I do to isolate the x? Right? And so x equals negative 12 minus 5 more, which is negative 17.
Will you work it the other way now?
Yes, I will work it the other way now. Can I erase this way?
No.
I think so. Okay, now I'm going to work it the other way where I distribute. Negative 12 times x is negative 12x. Negative 12 times 5 is negative 60. Okay, so now I would need to add the 60 on both sides, which would make this 204. And now I divide by negative 12 on both sides, And 204 divided by negative 12 is negative 17.
Hold on, wait. Nobody has.
Okay, once you've copied it, turn to page 2.